Hey everybody, this is Gail, and this is Errata-Hate, episode 24, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So there's a great vintage crochet pattern website that I love to go through. It's freevintagecrochet.com. I'll do my best to remember to drop a link down below. And I really love it because it has all this great stuff that was done like in the first half of the century, so, back when, they were using yarn for everything, basically. So lots of really cute handbags, there's beautiful sweaters, there's dresses. And I swear at one point there was a sweater that was, not a sweater, I'm sorry, a bag that included using an embroidery hoop. But for the life of me, I cannot find proof that it actually exists. And it was like the hoop was used for like the top of the bag to close, and I thought that was really cute. But I have this embroidery hoop that I don't use a lot. I do cross stitch, but not often. And so I decided, fuck it, let's just try to make our own bag. And so rather than have this be the top, my plan is to have this be the sides. And so it's going to be a round bag with matching sides, and then it's going to have a zipper and a handle. It's going to be really cute. And I get if you're like, Gail, I can't picture what the hell you're doing. Don't worry about it, we'll get there. And if I pull this off, I've never made one of these. This is something I'm kind of doing on a whim just to see if I can. If I pull this off, and we don't end up with an episode 9 tragedy like we did, I think it's going to be super cute, and more importantly, if this works, then this will work. What are these for, Gail? Well, these are for a giant shield backpack for a cosplay. Because that's how I roll, folks. So anyway, let's come back to the more realistic one. So first thing I gotta do is figure out what I have in the house to snap this thing off. I must have something. Oh, fun fact, there are no little notches to get a screwdriver in there, so that will be extra fun. And then after that, I'm going to glue these to get this opening here together so that I have one hoop, and so I don't know, we'll figure out what to do with this part. I'm not really thinking that far ahead right now. I'm thinking about the fact that I'm going to have to put a whole lot of stitches around this thing. For our yarn for this particular bit of weirdness, I am using, this is Big Twist. You can get it at Joann's. I have this 3-pack because they were having a sale. It's a worsted weight acrylic. I love this color. It's a really bright purple. And so we're going to see if we can make a whole cute round bag with 2 hoops, this yarn, and my trusty H-hook. And of course a notebook to write everything down, because what's going to happen is I'm going to do one side, and then I'm going to have to do the other side, because this will be seamed up the middle. And I'm thinking it'll be that far apart. It's 2 inches, I think. 2 or 3 inches. If you've seen Scott Pilgrim, I'm thinking Ramona Flowers' bag in terms of shape, so that perfect circle shape. But I'm going to stop rambling and go figure out how to get this thing off. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, I'm back. I cannot find our needle nose pliers. They're in the house somewhere. We use them a surprising amount, actually. But I do have a regular pair of pliers, and I have my hoop here, and so I'm gonna try to wrangle this piece out just by kind of getting a grip on it, and hopefully tricking it into, hoping I can get it rotating so that I can just roll it out. But I don't think that's gonna do it. I just tried a couple of times and nothing happened. But we'll give it another shot. So I'm just, pliers. I'm just getting it here and trying to move it one way or the other, and I don't... No, it's not moving. So, my next step will just be to try and force it out one side. There's got to be a way for this to work. Because it's wiggling a little bit, it's just not moving all that much. Which goes to show you how well embroidery hoops are made, quite honestly. While I continue to wiggle this for another 10 seconds to see if I can make a miracle happen, I do want to recommend when you're doing this, definitely go with a plastic hoop like this one is. Partially because you don't have to be worried you're going to split it if maybe this part goes wrong. Because on wooden hoops, these pieces are glued on, and you know, you have the chance of splitting the entire thing if you kind of get the wrong angle. So I do recommend a plastic hoop. They're everywhere. This isn't working. So I will have to try something else because I'm determined to get this piece out. Oh, and I injured myself. All right, we're done with that for now. But real quick, I do have like one good update so far. The great thing about this being a two-piece project is that I have this one which I can still show you how I did everything, but I went ahead and I did everything. And I went with these big baubles because I don't really have a thought process behind it. I just thought they would look cute, and so it's going to be a blueberry when I'm done. Well, a bunch of blueberries. Blueberries are like single. But, maybe this is what a blue raspberry is. You know, like that blue raspberry flavor that isn't actually anything but like weird. Like maybe that's what this is the blue raspberry that the flavor comes from. So, I'm gonna go put some Neosporin on the little hole I just put in my thumb. And figure out how to get that thing out, and I will be back again, hopefully, to be able to start showing you how I did this. See you guys in a bit. Okay, everybody, I have tried a number of ways to get the doodad out of the embroidery hoop, and so far none of them have worked. It's in there real tight. I think they molded the plastic around the piece, which is really smart, actually. It makes a very strong base to work with. And so that means it's time for drastic measures. This might be a terrible idea, but I have eye protection. So let's find out if, like, heaving down on this thing with the meat cleaver is useful. And I'm not going to cut the whole thing off, just, like, try for most of it. I missed.
Wow, that's loud.
Nope, that didn't work either.
I guess it's metal on metal, huh?
I was still hoping. This is surprisingly well made for something that cost me $4. Okay, I gotta go find an X-Acto knife. I think that is the answer. So I will be back once I figure out what the hell's going on. Guess who got it? Let me get away from my computer. There we go. Okay, so I got it off. Super happy about that. This in my hand is a bead crimper. Just gonna drop the little doodad right there, and off it goes. So the whole point of a bead crimper is it's got these little teethy parts that crimp beads. And so I got it around the doodad here, and as you can see, if I can get it focused, I just worked it. I worked it back and forth. I got it to start bending and just kept working it back and forth until it finally came off, and it came off really softly, which is nice. I imagine if you've got the hand pressure, you can probably do the same thing with a pair of needle nose pliers. I had to have some Sean help for part of it because I was hurting my hands. But now that it's done, very exciting, I'm going to hot glue these two pieces together, and the next time you see me, we will actually be starting the pattern. So that's exciting. I will see you guys soon. Bye. Hey everybody, I am behind the camera for this part here. I'm about to start stitching around the loop, and I wanted you to be able to see that. I did hot glue this like I said I was gonna, but it popped off. I'm just gonna leave it for now. I'm not concerned about things getting out of hand, especially with these two sort of nubbins to hold the yarn in place. So I'll probably super glue it at the very end. Because one, I can be a little more precise with the super glue, and two, super glue holds everything together. So we're going to be working around the loop, and to start out, I've just got a slip stitch on my hook. This is an H hook. I think I mentioned earlier I was using my H hook. But you're going to come around, pull up a loop, trying to get a good angle on this, and then just basically do a single crochet. So, tighten that down a little bit. So there's your first stitch. Oh. And so we're going to do that again. And so we're just going to do a regular single crochet. We're just going around the loop rather than like going under the yarn. So that's a second one. I think this is a good angle. Here we go. So again, going under the loop. Ah! Ah! That happens way more often than it should. Under the loop and through the yarn. under, through. So here's our first few stitches, and you're going to want to work 110 stitches around. That's what I came up with working on the other half, which is, I am having a time with my camera, you guys. You know, this piece that I've already done. So this first row here is 110 stitches, and you can see it does a really nice job covering, and it will do a nice job covering the other hoop. Don't worry about the fact that your stitches, like the tops of your stitches, are going to move around some while you're doing this part. You can line them all up later. In the second round, we're just going to work around even. So that'll help place it where you want it to be. So I'm going to go get the rest of the stitches on this one, and I'll be back to show you the start of the next row. And then after the next row, we get into the pattern to make all of our little popcorn stitches. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time for what I'm about to do to you with those. So see you soon. Okay, I am back after having completed that first set of single crochets around the loop. I have started the process of turning my single crochets into the loop so I can just work on them. But don't worry too much if they're not 100% on the same side. Like you can just adjust them as you go, and they move back and forth really easily. So I've got 110 here, and what I'm going to do now is reach across and go into that first single crochet I made and do a joining stitch. My handy dandy backup camera person is out tonight, which is why my camera's a little awkward tonight. So there's that join, and I'm going to chain one. Well, I will in a second at least. So there we go. Chain one, and then what you're going to do is you're going to come around and work in all of these single crochets around. So all of these little pieces, like basically the little nubbins that are sticking up, and you can twist them in as you go. They're not going to get knocked out of whack. They're not going to unravel or anything. So they're fine where they are. So we're going to work our way around, and there will be no turns in any of this. So everything is being worked sort of in a spiral. And so just work around, and you can see how I'm doing it here, working into the single crochet that's popping up. Oop, dropped it. But you're going to do that around, working even for 3 rounds. So we're going to work 3 rounds of 110 stitches, and then after those rounds, which you can see here, so here's the 3 rounds, then we're going to start these ever-increasing popcorn stitches, which you're going to hate me for because it requires a lot of putting stuff on the hook, but I think it looks really cool, so I hope you'll bear with me. So yeah, I'll go do those 3 rounds and be back to start walking you through the popcorn stitch in just a minute. Okay, we're back. I have finished those 3 rounds of single crochet that you can see here. And now what I'm going to do is start the popcorn stitches. So popcorn stitches are just, you basically work 3 double crochet together, and I'll show you how to do that. So first we're going to join, and now I'm going to chain 2. And I chain 2 for my double crochets because I think it looks better. It's, you can chain 3, it's not a big deal. So this is a starter popcorn stitch. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to go under, pull up a loop, and you're going to pull a loop through the first 2 loops on the hook like you're completing a double crochet, but you're not going to do this last loop. Instead, you're going to yarn over, go into the same stitch, pull up a loop, complete that other first half of that double crochet, and then after you've done that, you're going to pull a loop all the way through, and that's going to give us our first popcorn stitch. Because this is a starter stitch, it's a little bit different than a regular popcorn. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a single crochet in the next stitch, because this will help the popcorn stitch pop out, which is what you want. And now this is a proper popcorn stitch I'm about to do. So yarn over, go under, pull up a loop, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, go into the same stitch, pull up a loop, pull through those first 2 loops again, yarn over, I'm going to go into that same stitch again, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and then when you're down to these 4 loops on the hook, you're going to pull all the way through with your last loop. And that's what gives it that tension so that it'll pop out like it does on the other half of the purse. And so I'm just going to do a popcorn stitch and a single crochet all the way around. And when I come back, we're going to start the decreases, and I apologize ahead of time for what I'm about to do to you. So I'll be back. Okay, we're back. I've finished that round of popcorn stitches and single crochets. Don't worry that things are kind of looking a little spread out. We're gonna start doing decreases this round, and that'll start pulling things in. So the first thing to join, you're gonna come into the top of that first popcorn stitch, and you're gonna slip stitch, and you're gonna chain 1. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna work decreases over stitches 4 and 5 around. So, counting this as stitch 1, and then into the top of the popcorn, that'll be 2, 3, and then it's going to be the top of this popcorn stitch, you're going to pull up a loop, and then into this single crochet, you're going to pull up a loop. So that's 4 and 5, and then you're going to do that single crochet decrease to pull it in. So let me do that one more time, working around. So 1, 2, 3, and then again, pull up a loop on 4, pull a loop on 5, and pull through all loops to make that decrease. So I'm going to keep going around counting to 5. That's how I always do these. And be back after that. The next set of popcorns are actually going to use the popcorns as a decrease. So that'll that's a little complicated, but I know you can do it. So we'll be back. We're back. I finished that first round of decreases, and now we're going to keep doing decreases, but in a different way. So I've joined, and I've done my chain 2. So I'm going to do that same start that I did the last round. So doing that pull through half. Now, do not finish this popcorn stitch, because what we're going to do to decrease is make another popcorn stitch right next to the first one in the same way, and then we're going to pull through all of the loops on the hook. And be patient with yourselves. You know, you might drop them. It's okay. Hopefully I won't drop them while showing you how to do it. Ha-ha! And then after that, we're going to work a single crochet. Well, if I can pull up the yarn correctly, we'll work a single crochet. There we go. And let me show you that, call it the popcorn decrease a second time. So going into my next stitch. So we're going to work the first half of the stitch. So those 3 starts to those double crochets in that one stitch. And then we're going to come over to the stitch next to it and do those 3 starts as well, where you're pulling up the loop and you're pulling through 2. You know, that's really the best way to remember it. Pulling up a loop, pulling through 2, and last one, pulling up a loop, pulling through 2, and now, again, through all the loops. And so you're going to do that around. If you come up with an uneven number at the end of the round, where maybe you only have enough space to do 1 popcorn rather than the popcorn decrease, go ahead and do it as a popcorn stitch. It'll sort of hide out with the other one and everything will look fine. That's what I did on the other side in a couple of places. So I'm going to go do this and count very carefully, and when we come back, we're going to be decreasing with just regular single crochet decreases again, but I'm going to make you do more stitches at once because I mean like that. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay. I have finished the popcorn decreases, and I am now moving on to the next round. So I've got my join and my single crochet right here. And what's going to happen here is we're going to work, well, if I don't drop my damn stitch, Gonna work 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then going to work a single crochet decrease using 3 stitches. So go under the next stitch, bring up a loop, go under the following stitch, bring up a loop, and then under the 3rd stitch for this, bring up a loop, yarn over, bring through all 4 loops. And now we're going to work 3 more regular single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do another decrease. So bring up a loop, bring up a loop, bring up a loop, pull through all, and we're going to do that all the way around. And as you can see, we're starting to get that proper look where it's pulling in to become more like our finished version here, which is a little bold. So gonna go finish this and come back again, and I'm gonna make you make even larger popcorn baubles, because I didn't want to just do a bunch of single crochet decreases all the time. So I'll be back in a minute. Back yet again. I have finished those decreases I was showing you, and so now what we're going to do is once again use the popcorn stitches to decrease, except we're going to do 3 popcorn stitches in a row. And so here's what that looks like. So this is my join with my double crochet chain. So we're going to start that first popcorn stitch. There we go. So here's, that first part of that first popcorn stitch. And like we did on the previous, we're going to do another popcorn stitch. Well, 2 rounds previous, but you know what I mean. 2, 3, and we're not going to finish it yet. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the next stitch and do another start of a popcorn stitch. And I believe in you guys. You can do this, okay? Like, take your time, take a deep breath. I totally dropped stitches doing this a couple times, so, like, don't worry about if it takes you a little bit of time to do it. I have to go pretty slow on these. And so now I have all of these loops, and so we're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull through. And so that is 1 popcorn stitch. And so now we're going to come in and we're going to do the single crochet in the next stitch like we did. And I'm going to show you that popcorn stitch one more time. By the way, I have yet to ever pull off a successful bullion stitch, which is sort of similar to this, where you put a lot of loops, except they don't have this double crochet base, and so you just have a bunch of loops and you have to pull through all of them at the same time, and it is always a catastrophe in my house. I'm going to do it one day, and that's when I ascend to the next plane of crochet. So that was that first popcorn stitch. We're going to, just keep going. Your hook can take the weight. Even if you, like me, sometimes miss the stitch. Alright, and there is the second popcorn, and now the third. And just so you guys know, as I'm finishing this third popcorn stitch, there is a point where I'm going to make you do 4 popcorns in a row. But again, I believe in you. I believe in us. Alright, so that's the third there. And, if you've got to hold on tight to the bottom here to get a good shot on your, to keep things in place as you pull through, go ahead and do that. Like, don't worry about it. Like, you can manhandle the yarn, it'll be fine. So we're going to do that all the way around. And then we're going to do another simple round of decreases, which is single crochet, and then we're going to finish after that. So we're actually pretty close to finishing the body so that we get this round blue raspberry sort of look, as I've named it. And I'll be back to show you the rest. Back again. I'm sure you noticed on the last round, if you're working along, that things got a little bit tight, and that's good because we're starting to see like the proper shape of things as compared to the finished piece I have here. So that's really good. So what we're going to do now, I've joined, I've done my chain 1, and all we're going to do, you're you're going to do a single crochet in that same space as the chain 1 so we don't have to completely ruin the yarn. And then we're going to do another 3 single crochet decrease. So 1, 2, 3, and going to decrease there. And then going to single crochet. And we're going to do another decrease. And I was going to do this in 2 parts, but I think if you don't mind just listening to me talk while I do this, we can do it all in one. So there's the other decrease. Because what comes after this is I've made you do all of these giant popcorns, and I'm going to make you do more giant popcorns. Single crochet. Because I believe that you can do it, and also I pulled it off, so I'm going to make you do it. Which is maybe unfair, but, you know, this is my channel. I do what I want. 1, loop 2, loop 3, gonna pull up, single crochet, okay, and we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, we're gonna do that decrease, and then let me check where I'm at here. It can get a little hard near the end to kind of see where you're at, so I always try to line it back up with the first tie on. So that was a decrease. So we're going to do a single crochet. Hold on. There we go. Single crochet. And then loop, loop, and this is the joining loop we had, so I'm going to go ahead and work into it and close it off because it's there and it's easier that way. And now I'm going to do another join, pull it through, we're going to do that chain 2, and now you get to do 4 popcorns. Aren't you excited? I'm excited. So again, this counts as our first popcorn, and we're going to work into that same space, do half of that double crochet, do the other half of that double crochet, and then we're going to go to the next stitch, which is right here, and things are going to get tight. Just remember to take it slow if you need to, take a deep breath. If you got to do it more than once, that's cool. Like, I can do this multiple times because I've done this multiple times, so you know, don't worry if you have to try a few times. 3. Go into the 3rd stitch. Same thing. 1. 2. Get more yarn. 3. And now we're going into the 4th stitch. So, well, I said it was going to be one piece, and then my phone was an asshole and died. So we're going to pick up at the top of what is the final round. So I've joined, I've done a chain 2, and now what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 popcorn stitches together. And I believe in you guys. We can do this. So.
I also believe in you.
Sean also believes in you. That's nice. Actually, I don't think that's joined correctly. Hold on. Let me absorb. It is not. All right, here's the join. I did it for realsies. There we go. There's my chain 2. And then into this section, we're going to work, you know, the first half of those stitches, as you do for the popcorn stitch, with that chain 2 counting as the first part. So there was the... Damn it. See, I lost my flow. All right, here we go. Trying again. 1, 2. There we go. Now we're coming to the next stitch, and we're going to do those, we're going to start those stitches. 1, 2, 3. All right. Now we're going to do that 3rd stitch. 1, 2, 3. And now, because I believe in you, and I pulled this off, I know you can pull this off, we're going to do the same thing in a 4th stitch. So 1, 2, got it, 3. And take your time with this, be patient with yourself, don't worry if you fuck up, you can always start over. And then we're gonna just do those popcorn stitches all the way around. And you're going to end on an uneven number. You're not gonna have, there aren't 12 stitches left, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna join another set of 4, and then I think you finish off with 2 or 3 popcorns left to join, but just go ahead and do it. So we're gonna finish that off, and then you're gonna cut a tail, and then you're gonna weave that tail in so that the final stitches tighten together for a nice finish. And that's, okay, that's, and I will show you that just quick as can be here. You just gotta bear with me through this part. Because this is like, I can feel this in my hands, guys. Like, I know that this is kind of an effort I'm asking of you, but you're gonna get that really great ripple effect afterwards. So we're coming up here, and 2, and just so you know, this is not the end of weird things I'm going to ask you to do, because then we got to sew stuff and put in a zipper, and we're going to make a strap. It's going to be great. Like, I am super psyched about this purse, and I thank you for going on this Gail is trying something sort of ridiculous with no warning journey. Which I try not to do to you often, because I like to be able to have a roadmap about what I'm doing to better explain what I'm doing. But the cuteness of this has won me over. Okay. And so this, let me see here. Okay. Like I said, we're just going to keep going, and it's shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. 2, 3, and what do we have here? All right. So we're going to finish there. And now I'm going to take my scissors. I've cut this tail. I'm going to work this, I'm going to pull this tail up, if I can get it through. And next I'm going to get my tapestry needle out, and I'm going to work in and out of all these stitches and pull it tight. So here we go. Now, I'm going to pull it tight so that it all comes together, which is exactly what I did on this one. Was pulled it tight in the middle so that it all comes together. Kind of like if you're working a granny square and you're pulling that yarn. So I'm going to call that good for this example and move on to the next part of putting the zipper in. So I'll see ya. Okay, back with the camera pointed towards me. I have my 2 halves of the purse here. And the next step, so there is a next step I did with the camera off, and that was to super glue this piece together, and it's holding very nicely as I expected it to with super glue. And I didn't film it because it was 1 dot and it was done. And also, I generally have fuck-ups with super glue and no one needs to see that. But I didn't this time. So I have the 2 pieces. And the next step is going to be to get the zipper in. And to do that, I am going to pin the zipper as best I can and sew it into the inner edge of the frame. So my goal is to get it seated so that it's I'm sewing through this first round of single crochet here, and I think that that will be a really good fit. Feel free to skip the sewing and go straight to the hot glue if you would rather. No judgments. I would do that if I was keeping this purse for myself, but I promised it to a friend, so I want to make that extra effort. By the way, if you're someone who doesn't sew very much, I will be doing an episode coming up in I think batch 4. Let me see. Yeah, episode 34. I'm going to show you a few really basic sewing things that I do. I really only hand sew. I have a machine, but I don't use it a lot. But yeah, like, don't worry about sewing this in if it looks too persnickety. You know, bust out a glue gun or more of the super glue if you're feeling super brave. and go for it. So I'm going to get the zipper, I'm going to sew the zipper into one side and then come back and show you how I handle it when I have to sew a zipper into two sides and keep things really close. And after that, because this is still like a brand new sort of project for me to work on, I will be doing the seaming so that it all becomes one piece. And then after that, we will be doing the strap. And then the final thing I will be doing is gluing a little decorative piece here to hide the little hoop ends from an outside view. So I'm gonna go bust out my needle and thread and probably poke myself 5 or 6 times, low estimate, and I'll see you guys soon. I'm back. I got the first half of the zipper in. You can see my little tiny stitches in there. You know, I wasn't going for a perfect stitch. I don't pretend like I can do that. And so what I'm gonna do, the way that I do zippers is I do the one side and then I unzip the zipper and place the other side where I want it. And I find that this is really easy. Well, it makes it easier to get the second half of the zipper in because you're gonna be working with a confined space, because now that the zipper is in place in one part, you're going to have to sort of wiggle it into the next part. So it takes a little bit more effort. I don't know if that's true if you're hot gluing. You guys will have to report back if you hot glue. So I'm going to go curse a lot and get the second half of the zipper in and hopefully come back with, you know, a fully realized zipper thing going on. I'm a little concerned because the zipper is very close to the edge of the purse, but it's still moving unobstructed on the one side that's sewn into place, so I think it'll be alright. We will find out. So I will be back again, as always. This is officially, by the way, the longest, the most number of individual videos I've had to do for a single project, and this is probably a good lesson to me about why I should make things before I make things on the channel, but I'm having fun, so who cares? So, we'll be back. We have a zipper, and it's got a little doohickey because it kind of gets lost in the sides, but it's fully functional. I ended up actually sewing it in on the second half by just having it on my lap in kind of a clamshell way, and that worked really well. Very happy with it. I've zipped it and unzipped it like 20 times and it's still staying in place, so that's a good sign. So that part's done. Okay. The next part, if I don't drop scissors on my toes, here we go, is to start sewing the loose part of the purse. So, and so what I'm going to do there is I am going to come in, you can see, like, that's the end of the zipper there. I'm actually going to come in right under it and work straight across, across both, there we go. So it's across both frames. Pull through most of the way, but I'm going to leave a bit of a tail. So I'm going to leave about that much of a tail. And then I'm going to fold it down, and then I'm going to whip stitch. So I'm going to, rather than coming back through this way, I'm going to come back over. And the reason I'm whip stitching is because when I put the strap on, I'm actually going to place it so that it's going to cover all of this area that I'm currently seaming. So I can whip stitch this. It doesn't have to be perfect, because then when I place the strap where it needs to go, it'll hide any imperfections, including the tail that I'm making sure to sew in as I whip stitch to help hold the seam together. I'm going to go work my way around and make a final decision on what the strap's going to look like. I'm torn between doing a crossbody or doing like a little clutch handle, which would be super cute. Oh my god. And so I'm gonna go make some final decisions while I do this, and we are almost done, kids. Crud. So, I sewed that whip stitch, like I mentioned. I actually did a double layer of it just to be safe. We have a problem. I cannot get my rather small hands comfortably into this bag. I mean, I can get it in there, but it's not fun. So I was tempted just to be like, fuck it, put on a strap, you know, put it in the donate pile, you know, let it be in a kid's toy box. But I'm also kind of determined to fix it because it's going to be an easy fix. And so I'm going to try to fix it. So what I'm going to do, let me get my hand out of here. I'm going to take all of this whip stitch off. And then I'm going to make a thin strip using the yarn. So I'm just going to do a single crochet stitch that is the same length as where all this whip stitch went. So I'm going to measure this out. And then what I'm going to do is place that in and sew it in like I sewed in the zipper. And so the bottom half of the purse will have a little more give so that when you stick your hand in there, it will have a place for your hand to go, basically. I don't 3D well. I know I've mentioned this before, and I mean it in stuff like this. Like when I sort of think in 3D, I always forget a side. And I should have thought about the fact that, you know, I'm clamping these two things together. They're not going to open like I'm picturing it. But that is the challenge of not really being a 3D thinker. So, gonna try to fix this. I think it'll actually go pretty easily, although it might be time to bust out the glue gun because I'm not really feeling like sewing anymore now that the zipper's in. I will be back. Okay, I worked 8 rows of single crochet through here, and this is just its own little, this is a separate piece. This was a separate piece I was working on, and then, I'm getting, like, a stylization fuzz when I do this, so I'm trying not to. But then I glued it into place along this inside here, and I glued it to the very ends of the zipper, where the little loose piece is. So they're glued starting right there, and that'll help keep the zipper in place. And so I'm gonna go next and put the head on it, as it were, to, it's been a long night, guys. So put the head on it so that it kind of comes down and there's that extra space. And I think that will really help in terms of like getting in there because there'll be a little more space for it to move to. And after that, I will be putting the little button on that I showed you. And then I think I might be done. I think I'm going to like it as a clutch. It totally has nothing to do with the fact that this project has taken way more steps than I thought it would. So off to finalize it. And hopefully we will have something very cute in just a few minutes. I am very happy to announce it worked! We got our little extra piece in there, and when I unzip it, I can comfortably get my hand in there thanks to this extra bit that I did. This side is not 100% glued down because I got it a little uneven and it was about to hit the zipper, and I didn't want to glue to the zipper itself, only to that little fabric piece. But that's fine. It's holding, it's good. I've been zipping and unzipping it and messing with it all night, and it seems to have really come together. I'm very excited. It's a little off-center, but fuck it. It's cute. The button is on and staying on. It's all very nice. And now I'm going to go fill it with snacks, because why not? So that's the end of episode 24. Thank you for sticking with me through it. For the record, it took 19 separate videos to make this thing, believe it or not. And while this is not the final episode of Batch 3, this is the episode that I finished last. So, I'm done! Gonna enjoy my hiatus, and confuse the hell out of you by saying that, because there are 6 more videos to come after this for this batch, but whatever. Anyway, as always, thank you for, showing up and tuning in and checking out what I'm making or doing, and if you enjoy what I'm doing here, like, subscribe, share, and consider giving to the Patreon. $1 a month can go a long, long way with enough people behind it. So that would be pretty rad. I have some goals on there that might interest you as well. And now I'm gonna go and enjoy my new purse.